live.
do a 10-second countdown and stop.
You're live.
Okay. Good morning to our NOIAW members and audience. I'm glad you all could join us. I'm NOIAW member Giovanna D. Biccari. If you're like me, you may have acquired a sedentary lifestyle during this quarantine. So if this rings true for many of you, well, we have just the right person to walk us through this. Today, we have Ilaria Cavagna, a trainer and Pilates instructor with extensive experience. And we're going to learn more about at-home exercises to improve breathing, posture, and relaxation. Hi, Ilaria. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hi, Giovanna. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm very good. Getting used to this new routine that has been now for we've been going for 6 weeks. So it's unbelievable how sometimes it almost feels normal, right? You're just dealing with life in a different way. Yeah.
It's a new normal, we could say.
The new normal, yes. Hopefully we can go back to the previous normal as quick as possible.
I need that bad. So listen, let me start off with my first question for you. How can we physically fight back the still life that this quarantine is imposing to everyone?
Yeah, now it's very challenging, right? Because we are locked down in the house. It depends on where you live, but oftentimes the apartment is not that big. So even really the space sometimes is missing. But it's absolutely very, very important to maintain a sort of working out routine, movement routine, because it's important for the body that, we are sitting more on the couch, more on the chair, more on Zoom. Like I used to spend my life in the Pilates studio, my days in the Pilates studio. Now I'm mostly sitting in front of the computer and training clients through Zoom, right? So that's everyone is sitting a lot more and many more hours. So standing up, sneaking a couple of exercises here and there, finding sometimes in the apartment to get the workout done. And as much as possible, if the personal health allows that, also going out, with mask, with gloves, with everything for a walk. Sure. That's also very important.
So you're saying during the commercial breaks, we should get up and stretch?
Absolutely, yes. Hip flexors get tight, lower back gets tight, we need to move.
Okay. So what's the importance of stretching then and working out in general since being in quarantine? What's the importance of it, especially stretching?
I've always believed, I was a dancer, a gymnast, and there are many different reasons why you work out. But I think the most general one and the most important one is to keep balance in your body. So what is balance? Balance is when you have balance, you have a good posture, right? Good posture allows you not to get injured too much. So sometimes you need an intense workout and very specific because you're about to get ready for the marathon. So that's one type of working out, one way of working out.
Can I just interject something here? The most marathons people are doing right now at home are Netflix marathons.
Yes.
Movie marathons.
No, I know. And so, so keeping your posture balanced means that you're not getting tight and rigid in those areas that by sitting and by staying still, usually you get more discomfort. So for example, hip flexor stretch, the front part of the hip, or neck exercise or upper back exercise, because by staying on the computer or on the phone, we always have the tendency to lean forward. This is not only right now, actually, it's like all the time, but the longer you stay on the devices, the more that is solicited and challenged.
So you're saying good posture is very important, not just now, but in general when we're back at work anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. It keeps your body balanced. Right. So also part of posture is the diaphragm, right? We never consider that as a very important muscle because it's not shown. We don't see it. So we usually have the tendency to go and work out areas of the body that we see that need the workout, right?
Okay.
Also, I want to work out the arms. I want to work out the
Sure.
hips. I need to work out the abs because my lower back is sore. So those are easier things to realize. And so it's easier to get there and do something and act. But the diaphragm is really a very important postural muscle and takes care of our breathing. Okay, so
Ilaria, many of us are working from home, and regardless whether we work from home or at the office, we're sitting in front of the computer. What do you suggest we do while we're sitting here? Should we, change the seat level of our office chairs? Is there anything that we should do for the good posture?
absolutely. The more variety you have in your workstation set up, the better. Okay, so if you can have, the desk that goes up and down, ideal. But if you don't have that, I kind of created a standing desk like a couple of weeks ago on my bed with a little box on top and the computer on top of it. So I was going from the sitting to at the table to standing and creating this standing desk. So changing the way you sit or you work, that's already a great thing. And then, breaks allowing that. If you can also sneak a couple of exercises there, that's also important. Sometimes you simply stand up and go against the wall with the back. You place your back, your neck, your lumbar spine up against the wall. You find and you realize what straight is for a second. You do a couple of arm circles, a couple of breathing. That's not a 30, 45 minutes workout, but it does compensate for the stress you put your body in.
Right, but I like what you just pointed out, putting your back and your neck against the wall, then you realize again what straight really is. So many of us feel like, oh, we're walking straight, what else are we doing? But once you actually have to place yourself against the wall, then you realize, oh man, maybe I haven't been doing so much of that.
Yeah. And even more now, in the office, it's easier to use the wall. But now that we are in our house, you can even lie down on the floor, right? The transcendental reference of wall and floor really have you melt and open up, and you can stay there just a couple of minutes, do a couple of breathing exercises, stretch where you feel you need to stretch. For everyone is a little different, but sometimes the front of the hips or pec, front part of the body, neck. Usually those are the areas that carry the stress the most, because stress is the other thing that is very much related to this situation we're in, right?
Right.
And movement helps immensely with stress.
So laying down on the floor or standing against the wall, that will help you realize what straight really is. And I invite anybody to do that at work. I'd like to see that happen. Go into the office and lay down on the floor. But
no, that is
But speaking of good posture, you were saying that you create a variety, and if you don't have that desk that elevates, so maybe change your chair, your chair height if it's one of those office chairs that can do that. Or better yet, a lot of people are working from home. If they're sitting at their desk and then they move to their dining room table, they're still sedentary. But a lot of us have, the islands or kitchen counters. We could easily pick up our laptop and walk over there and stand and work. And how long do you recommend us standing and working for? Does it matter?
So actually standing is a pretty good position, because you don't realize, but even if you think you're standing still for half an hour, 1 hour, you're not really still, because you're always shifting the weight. It's almost like sitting on the gym ball. You're still sitting, but if your deep muscles are not awake, you're going to fall off the ball, right? So standing is pretty much the same thing. We don't even realize, because we're so used to standing, but only the fact that you are there, you are so much more active than sitting down. So standing is actually really good. Sometimes, it could be good to put an alarm and change every half an hour, right?
Okay.
So another thing that it's really, I always recommend my client, it's really important, and it ties really well with also the stress management, is drinking water and staying hydrated.
Sure.
water. It's very important
You're right.
because during stress and dehydration are the two worst enemies for our body, for our health, for our fascia. So the moment you try to stay active and work out and put the mind into something to try to keep the stress level down, and at the same time you hydrate your body, it's really, really beneficial for to stay calm, to face this time in the best way possible.
Okay.
So often, if you're sitting at the table, get up, get some water, drink. That's also another nice excuse, So usually a little alarm that goes off every half an hour, it's perfect.
I like it.
Like right now, I'm sitting on the floor. I
Yeah.
usually train clients because then I demonstrate sometimes. So I'm moving, from lying down to sitting up. But again, it's not always comfortable sitting on the floor. So you're forced to change the position slightly every.
Otherwise, a leg falls asleep or a foot falls
Oh
asleep.
yeah.
Something happens.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
speaking of working out at home, what if one doesn't have the equipment? Some of us don't have the equipment. Some of us just don't have the room to have equipment at home. Do you have
Yeah.
any advice on what exercises
So
we could do?
absolutely, there is so much you can do with. I honestly use a yoga mat for
Okay.
myself and also for most of my clients. Some have some apparatus, but otherwise, yoga mat. The only thing I would recommend, according to what you do, if you roll on your spine, make sure that maybe if you can layer 2 or 3 of those, that's so much better because you don't realize right away. But unless you put the yoga mat on the rug or on a carpet, it's still pretty thin, and sometimes the surface is still too hard.
Totally.
Usually yoga mat, a towel to put behind the head in case you need it for the alignment. And then I usually use another towel because it's nice to hook it in front of the knees and help the roll and unroll of the back. You pull it with the arms. That's actually all you need. If you have 2-pound weights or if you want to use 2 small bottles of water to do a little bit of arm work. I use this low bed for dips with the triceps. You can do arm workout in different inclined planes, like you can do push-ups on the wall, you can do push-ups on the table, on a chair, really use everything you have around.
So we can be very resourceful while at home. We can use our grocery items to do weights.
Totally.
We can use our bath towels to help stretch our legs.
Open up the chest, open the shoulders.
Okay, right above you.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Right. Yeah. We were talking about opening before, right? So we can easily do it against the wall and just find some awareness thanks to the wall. But you can also grab a towel, open it up, do different stretches. It helps keeping your body aligned, and it helps also stretch a little more. At the end, if you look in a Pilates studio, what do you see? A low bed, a little higher bed, a chair, the Bunda chair, the high chair. I mean, it's all things that he actually really created from everyday, the Cadillac bed, the one with the spring, was actually a hospital bed, and he hooked up springs because those patients weren't able to move. So he wanted to give some resistance and support while they were still forced in bed. So he was creative, and we have his creativity behind, before us, so we can learn from that. And
I love this, Ilaria, because I'll tell you, I've gained like 3 or 4 pounds since quarantine. But I'm sure most people have been kind of more on the sedentary side, just watching movies, sitting on their sofa, doing their work on their laptop. So part of me is saying, oh, yes, this is great. I can do some workouts at home. And then part of me is kind of upset because I think I have no excuse. Ilaria just gave me a dozen examples. I have 0 excuse not to work out at home.
I think it's like always, it's always, find for our new routine right now, what's the best time, right? I honestly have to be very honest. Before, I never worked out in my apartment. I was going to take the subway, go down to the studio I work at, and just work out there, or go to the gym and work out at the gym. I mean, for me, that's the environment I usually go to But since I've been home, I've been even more consistent with my workout because I understand that if I start giving up on it, it's gonna be bad. I mean, I have now this time, which is around 5:30, 6 p.m. That's my alone time in my son's room. I'm gonna come here and that's my workout time where I prepare my workout for the online platform. I work out myself. I mean, that's the time that I dedicate to my body. And it's again, do I have all the space I need? Do I have everything I would like to have? No, we all know it's not the ideal setting, but you can do so much, and it's really. Then the luck we have is that we can also, in Italy they cannot go out and walk outside. They're really locked. They can go out only for grocery and pharmacy
They're
stuff.
on a true lockdown, where meanwhile here, although we're in a sort of quasi lockdown,
we can go out and walk.
For a walk.
Yeah, which is great on a bike ride, according to where you are and where you are. That's very beneficial as well, because it's you can decide different intensity. You can just go for an easy walk, just meditative and like to think and relax, or you can go for more of an intense one. You can stop at the bench and do a couple of exercise and then come home.
Right, exactly. So speaking of going for a walk, what tips can you provide that we should be mindful of while walking so that we can get the most out of our walks?
So, I mean, I think we're all pretty lucky. We have a lot of parks around. I'm in Manhattan, but still you have Central Park, Riverside. I mean, if you have not a cement surface, but you can walk in a park, much better. Not too much for the surface itself, but because in a park, most likely you have a little bit of up and down, uphill, downhill, and uneven surface. So that's great because you do the activity of walking, you burn calories, you bring the heart rate up a little bit. So that for an aerobic workout, it's actually great. To do a real aerobic workout, we don't really need to push the heart rate so high. Like we do sometimes in a spinning class. The best thing is to go at a intense but moderate intensity activity for a long amount of time. So if you can go for a walk like 40 minutes long, 45 minutes long, that's great, because you go over the 20 minutes time and you start doing a real aerobic workout. So you can decide the pace you're keeping, right? So you can decide that you're going at an intense pace, maybe with some swing in the arms, and that's something you can throw in. You can do a little interval training with a couple of sprints and walk, a couple of sprints and walk. And
if we're up to that speed, I think a lot of us are kind of gone a little.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No. And I personally don't run. I can't for my knee surgery that I have. So my aerobic workout is usually when I can bike, and otherwise it's walking. Another thing that it's really good actually is going up and down the stairs. If you have it in your house. If you are leaving the building and you're not up on the 20th floor, that could be also a good thing, like, once a day, a couple of floors.
Sure. Ilaria, what about yoga or Pilates? I can't, there's some people that might not have ever tried Pilates or yoga. Is there anything that you can show us while you're sitting there, like one movement of yoga or one movement of Pilates while sitting on the floor?
So, now while sitting on the floor, absolutely.
Sure.
So if it's possible to sit on the floor with crossed legs, great. Otherwise, if you need a little step or any position that is good for the legs. And then from here, just a little quick routine, and then we're gonna do a little thing for the hip flexor. So just we can take care a little bit of everything.
Very good.
You can sit just sitting up or on against the wall for stability. And the first thing I would start with, just to kind of get into our body, is just a little breathing. So one hand on the chest, one hand on the stomach, and we're gonna breathe big, but only inflating the belly, the hand on the belly. So we inflate the stomach as a balloon, and then you release. And again, you inflate, big, 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 and then release. Perfect. And again, inflate, big, and release. Good. Now from here, one hand on the side, one hand, arm up, and you're going to just stretch, side bending and opening up the ribs on one side.
I like it.
And then you come
That
up.
already feels good. It feels like massage.
You can do it also on the chair, right? And then you lift it, hit down, and you go out to the other side and up.
That's
One
amazing.
more time. You're going to go and lift. Last one and reach. And now
Ilaria, did you say you're training people via Zoom?
Yeah.
You're still training?
And you can see,
wow.
Yeah, and you can see so much because really it's, you know, I used to do a little Skype or FaceTime in the past and never did online training too much because I was always going to people's house. And
Sure.
But now that I'm forced, I have to say that Zoom is really a great, I mean, it's the way you can see people better. Sometimes they put two computers. I have two visions, so that's even better. And one last extra, yeah?
Mention your website again. What was your website name?
So I have ilariacavagna.com, but the ones that is more active with all my trips, workshops, and other activities is feet-nest.com.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I did, you know, I do all this work on posture, really starting at the foundation, at the feet.
Yes.
So that's the last one over here. It's shoulders open, hands on top of the head. Need to reset the camera. And now here, staying as tall as possible with the head back, you lengthen up and reach. This is create a specific opening in the middle of the T-spine, right in that point where our neck is going forward. So this is a specific exercise for the spine. It really creates space. An osteopath invented these exercises. And this is really the best one I can do for our hours on the computer.
I really invite all our viewers to try that right now. Try it at home right now, because you have no idea how tight you are until you do that. It takes you 2 seconds, but
yeah,
you have no idea how tight your body is.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
It's tough, but then you feel better. You feel the nice release when you bring the arms back down.
That felt really good. Listen, Ilaria, what's the connection between yoga and Pilates and spirituality?
So I think that both the thing that both type of trainings have in common is really this strong connection, mind and body and spirit. I think spirit in different ways, because yoga can be just a workout, but can be also very spiritual. It depends on the type of yoga you do, but definitely this strong connection, mind, body. So for example, Joseph Pilates, when he was working out on his system, the name was not Pilates, it was contrology, where the goal was the mind having the control over the body. And what he saw, and what I also see when I train people, is that sometimes even the most athletic and fit person, it's gifted. They have a gift, right? They're so good because they work a lot, but they're also born with the right body to do certain things. But sometimes they need to be trained so that their mind has full control over the body. Okay. So that's what really, I'm more expert in Pilates because that's what I teach. I only did yoga as a client a few times because, you know, I like it, but I never taught yoga. But I think that that's the real thing that they have in mind, this connection, mind and body. And yes, the body is important, muscles are important, shape is important, but it's really the control at the end that allows you to be in charge of your house, right? We are locked in the house, but this is our house. So we need really to keep it as balanced, as healthy as possible to make sure that our mind is in the right place.
You're right. We do need to have that control over this house. I mean, we have no control over anything that's going on in the outside world. I mean, I would like to have more control over what I put in my mouth because I feel like I'm snacking too much. But maybe I'll start replacing it with some of these stretches that you've
Yeah.
taught us. Or they
No, no,
feel
no.
really good. I can't stress that enough. I think everybody needs
Yeah.
to try this at home.
Yeah. And really, as we were talking before, do a couple of things and then you do a couple of stretches. So you really throw them in the day, and then if you want to lie down and work out for an hour or for half an hour, that's also good. But otherwise, you already know that you took care of your body and you already did,
Right.
what your body needed. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Ilaria, I have some people in my family that might say they're too old for Pilates. And not just my family. I know a lot of friends that say, oh no, I'm too old for that, or Pilates, or even yoga. What's your answer to that? When somebody comes up to you and, and
I
says,
think, yeah, I think that that's because we are used to see that video or that person on Facebook or Instagram. Pilates can be very, very athletic
yes,
and very advanced, like almost circus things, because there are these poles and the stuff. And that's actually how I was attracted by it in the beginning, because I was coming from
really?
that world. Yeah, I was an acrobatic dancer when I was still in Italy with Cataclaw. And so that is what attracted me. But at
Sure.
the same time, I can tell you that that's not it. It's you can do Pilates, some
Mhm.
Pilates exercise almost sitting on the couch, some activation that I teach clients on the Cadillac, staying straight and lifting up one leg at a time, couple of inches, not much, but you really fire, the right muscles, keeping the right posture, a couple of easy and simple arm work that you do. Pilates, for example, I was mentioning weights before. We never use more than 2 pounds weight, because you don't really need a high resistance if you do weights for a postural reason. So really paying attention that you purposely engage those muscles no matter what weight you have. So it's not the weight that has you respond to the resistance, is your mind again that
Yeah.
sets up a certain resistance in the muscles.
Yes.
So, part of those simple exercise we mentioned is already Pilates. So really paying attention.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, because I feel like, if people see the acrobatic part, they might start getting a little hesitant on doing any Pilates.
Yeah. And and that is there. Then when you start doing Pilates and you get in, I've been working both at the studio where I got certified, and right now I think my oldest client is 87.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
And I see him twice a week, and I do 2 hours workout every week. And in the studio, we had people coming in that they did Pilates with Romana Krzyzanowska, and 90 years old. We were celebrating the birthday. So it's not necessarily just for women or just for young people. Now athletes are doing. You can really customize Pilates to any different needs.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the beauty of it. It's not PT, we are movement, but a lot of times we adapt the movements for what the body needs. It's always for the body. That's the most
Okay.
important thing.
I mean, I like it. I like the fact that you said, I mean, you have an 80-year-old client. So that says a lot. That speaks
Yeah,
volume that anyone
yeah,
can do it.
yeah,
And anyone can try any of these exercises at home too.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely, absolutely. It's
uh,
yeah.
so how are you keeping busy yourself during this quarantine time?
Oh, I have a 7-year-old, so some of the time is the homeschooling, which is, I think personally, is the most challenging thing of this quarantine.
We all get that. Yes.
And I teach some of my clients on Zoom, and then
Mm.
I have another, let's say, part of my business is fitness, so that is an instructor training program online with some live interaction. So that's another part. I recently launched a video membership, full body workout, so
Okay.
filming videos, and also there, I'm turning around my living room, putting a couple of lights out, and I'm filming there.
Uh-huh.
So we were used to rent spaces and have a whole production team one time, but now you just do what you have to do, and you realize how many things are doable anyway, right?
It's like
So,
no judgment zone. Everyone's being resourceful the best way that they can at home. So yeah,
and I think that's a nice thing. I mean, I think a lot of good things come out of that, because sometimes people were not, feeling comfortable enough in
sure.
putting certain things out there. And I think that right now everyone feels like, I need to help my clients. I need to help my people. I need to do something for them. And unfortunately, I mean, there is so much I can do right now going, outside for society. I mean, the best thing I can do is to really stay in and be respectful of the rules.
Mhm. Sure.
And sometimes this makes you feeling unpowerful and, not doing enough. But you can still, whatever job you have, whatever profession you have, whatever your life, requires you to do, just do that at your best. And
Right.
I think it's really the best thing you can do right now for
Oh, I
uh,
totally agree.
12 people around you.
Right. And so speaking of children at home, do you have any, it's kind of difficult for these parents to do any sports. I mean, you're in New York City, so you guys are more of a lockdown than say people in DC or California or wherever our members are watching from. Um, with all that said, what do you do with your 7-year-old for exercise or yoga or Pilates?
Yeah, so in his after school program, he does yoga. So they do yoga on Friday at 3:30 on Zoom. So he does
Okay.
that. But sometimes we do workout, like family workouts. We started in the beginning of the quarantine. So he calls out an exercises for 2 minutes, and then I call them out for another 2 minutes. My partner does the same. So a little bit of, and he does burpees, push-ups,
Wow.
and jumping jacks and stuff like this. And then one thing
I
they
love it, but
do
it's not
have,
for me.
but it's fun for him. For kids, it's fun. They need to get the energy out. A lot of times he's going to bed a little later, and a lot of times he's not tired, right? Because
Yeah.
he's normal. Kids have need to move and need to run and need to do stuff. And even if we try to bring him out once a day and he goes on the bike a little bit or he runs, in the park, of course, no climbing on anything, but still, it's some movement. If you think about his usual school day, this
Mhm.
is still nothing, right? He usually goes out, he stays out the whole day, he does a lot of activity, does swimming and other things. So this is less than what he's used to. But I think that he's also getting more family time, and that's also good. So it's
That's
just
also
we
yeah.
need to take it this way, right? A
Right.
little less of something, a little more of something else.
Right. No, I get that. That's the dilemma that a lot of us are having, a lot of parents are having, where, like you just mentioned, in school, they're walking from classroom to class, they've got their recess, they're doing this, they have after school activities. So when they're at home, even going for walks just feels like it's not enough compared to what their old normal was.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
on the flip side, there's more family time. And that goes back
Yeah.
to, the mind and being mindful, I guess, of your family time.
Yeah. 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 We pull up challenges every once in a while. We dance. We put
Oh,
on
nice.
music and we dance.
Dance parties.
We do. We do. And he's also, aware of that. So he asks. He does
Yeah.
like, let's dance a little bit or let's do that.
I
And then
like
we do puzzles, which is not, not physical work, but that's also something else that pulls us together. We have a table with a puzzle that we started, and every once in a while we go there and try to finish it up a little bit.
I like I like everything that you've shared with us. I really appreciate it because I feel like we're more how should I say this? I feel more content that it's not going to be such a struggle. It doesn't have to be such a struggle to be more in control of this house, not the house, but this house here, where
Yeah.
I can work out at home. I can stretch a little bit. I need to be more aware. I think a lot of people need to be more aware of their posture and,
Yeah.
you know, their exercise for the day. So,
And if
yeah.
I have to give one advice for everyone to get started with this, like find places in the house where you know you can do those couple of things. So every time you sit on that part of the couch, you do a couple of leg lifts. Every time you walk to that wall, that's what you try to do, and you go there and you try to extend. If you have those references in your house, in your place, then
Mhm.
it's so much easier to create this new routine and new lifestyle where every once in a while you're sneaking something in.
I get it. So you're saying if we're going to the living room couch, make sure that you, every time you sit there, you're doing such and such leg exercises. If you're going to the kitchen counter, bring your laptop, stand up and
Yeah.
work, you know,
And
in
drink
every
water.
room you're doing
And yeah,
something. I
yeah.
like it. Very good. Well, Ilaria, we really appreciate you taking your time to talk with us.
No,
We had
I
so many
am
viewers message us with questions. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you stay safe.
absolutely you too. And I'm really happy we were able to meet and do this together because I was able to learn about the organization, and I'm definitely interested in becoming a member, you know, because I didn't know about the existence, and I think it's a really important thing to have for all of us over here. So thank
Okay,
you
well,
so
when
much.
we're off of this lockdown and if we get out on good behavior, then we'd love to have you on again at your studio possibly, and you show us
Absolutely.
more.
Absolutely. We'll do that. Okay. Thank
Great.
you. Be safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.